Imagine a revered sage, beloved by many, returning to his sanctuary, only to confront his deepest struggles. In this chapter, Swami Vivekananda's return to the Belur monastery marks a time of introspection, physical decline, and spiritual reflection. As he battles illness and faces personal loss, his commitment to his spiritual mission remains unwavering. Dive into the poignant final months of this extraordinary life and discover how Swami Vivekananda's enduring spirit shaped his final days. In this episode, we delve into the later stages of Swami Vivekananda's life as he returns to Belur Monastery. Despite his deteriorating health and the challenges of the Bengal climate, Swami Vivekananda continues to inspire and instruct those around him. We explore his interactions with his disciples, his love for animals, and his final efforts to uphold the spiritual traditions he cherished. Join us as we uncover the profound moments of this final chapter of his remarkable journey. Vivekananda returned to the Belur monastery in the second week of May. Concerning the impressions of his trip, he said that a certain part of Assam was endowed with incomparable natural beauty. The people of East Bengal were more sturdy, active, and resolute than those of West Bengal. But in religious views, they were rather conservative and even fanatical. He had found that some of the gullible people believed in pseudo-incarnations, several of whom were living at that time in Dhaka itself. The Swami had exhorted the people to cultivate manliness and the faculty of reasoning. To a sentimental young man of Dhaka, he had said, "My boy, take my advice. Develop your muscles and brain by eating good food and by healthy exercise, and then you will be able to think for yourself. Without nourishing food, your brain seems to have weakened a little." On another occasion, in a public meeting, he had declared, referring to youth who had very little physical stamina, "You will be nearer to heaven through football than through the study of the Gita." The brother disciples and his own disciples were much concerned about the Swami's health, which was going from bad to worse. The damp climate of Bengal did not suit him at all. It aggravated his asthma, and further, he was very, very tired. He was earnestly requested to lead a quiet life, and to satisfy his friends, the Swami lived in the monastery for about 7 months in comparative retirement. They tried to entertain him with light talk, but he could not be dissuaded from giving instruction to his disciples whenever the occasion arose. He loved his room on the second story, in the southeast corner of the monastery building, to which he joyfully returned from his trips to the west or other parts of India. This large room with 4 windows and 3 doors served as both study and bedroom. In the corner to the right of the entrance door stood a mirror about 5 feet high, and near this, a rack with his ochre clothes. In the middle of the room was an iron bedstead with a spring mattress, which had been given to him by one of his Western disciples. But he seldom used it, for he preferred to sleep on a small couch placed by its side. A writing table with letters, manuscripts, pen, ink, paper, and blotting pad, a call bell, some flowers in a metal vase, a photograph of the master, a deer skin which he used at the time of meditation, and a small table with a tea set completed the furnishings. Here he wrote, gave instruction to his disciples and brother monks, received friends, communed with God in meditation, and sometimes ate his meals. And it was in this room that he ultimately entered into the final ecstasy from which he never returned to ordinary consciousness. The room has been preserved as it was while the Swami was in his physical body, everything in it being kept as on the last day of his life, the calendar on the wall reading July 4th, 1902. On December 19th, 1900, he wrote to an American disciple, "Verily I am a bird of passage. Gay and busy Paris, grim old Constantinople, sparkling little Athens, and pyramidal Cairo are left behind. And here I am writing in my room on the Ganga in the mutt. It is so quiet and still. The broad river is dancing in the bright sunshine, only now and then an occasional cargo boat breaking the silence with the splashing of the waves. It is the cold season here, but the middle of the day is warm and bright every day. It is like the winter of Southern California. Everything is green and gold, and the grass is like velvet, yet the air is cold and crisp and delightful. After the Swami's return from East Bengal, he lived a relaxed life in the monastery, surrounded by his pet animals. The dog Bhaga, the she-goat Hansi, an antelope, a stork, several cows and sheep and ducks and geese, and a kid called Matru, who was adorned with a collar of little bells, and with whom the Swami ran and played like a child. The animals adored him. Matru, the little kid who had been, so he pretended, a relation of his in a previous existence, slept in his room. When it died, he grieved like a child and said to a disciple, "How strange! Whomsoever I love dies early." Before milking Hansi for his tea, he always asked her permission. Bhaga, who took part in the Hindu ceremonies, went to bathe in the Ganga with the devotees on sacred occasions. As for instance, when the gongs and conchs announced the end of an eclipse. He was, in a sense, the leader of the group of animals at the mutt. After his death, he was given a burial in the grounds of the monastery. Referring to his pet animals, he wrote to an American disciple on September 7, 1901, "The rains have come down in right earnest, and it is a deluge, pouring, pouring, pouring night and day. The river is rising, flooding the banks, the ponds and tanks have overflowed. I have just now returned from lending a hand in cutting a deep drain to take off the water from the mutt grounds. The rainwater stands at places some feet deep. My huge stalk is full of glee, and so are the ducks and geese. My tame antelope fled from the mutt and gave us some days of anxiety in finding him out. One of my ducks unfortunately died yesterday. She had been gasping for breath more than a week. One of my waggish old monks says, 'Sir, it is no use living in the Kali Yuga when ducks catch cold from damp and rain and frogs sneeze.' One of the geese had her plumes falling off. Knowing no other method of treatment, I left her some minutes in a tub of water mixed with mild carbolic, so that it might either kill or heal, and she's all right now." Thus, Swami Vivekananda tried to lead a carefree life at the monastery, sometimes going about the grounds clad in his loincloth, sometimes supervising the cooking arrangements and himself preparing some delicacies for the inmates, and sometimes joining his disciples and brother monks in the singing of devotional music. At other times, he imparted spiritual instruction to the visitors, or engaged in deep thought whenever his inner spirit was stirred up, occupied himself with serious study in his room, or explained to the members of the mutt the intricate passages of the scriptures and unfolded to them his scheme of future work. Though his body was wearing away day by day, his mind was luminous. At times his eyes assumed a faraway look, showing how tired he was of the world. One day he said, "For one thing we may be grateful. This life is not eternal." The illness did not show any sign of abatement, but that did not dampen his spirit to work. When urged to rest, he said to a disciple, "My son, there is no rest for me. That which Sri Ramakrishna called Kali took possession of my body and soul 3 or 4 days before his passing away. That makes me work and never lets me keep still or look to my personal comfort." Then he told the disciple how the master, before his passing away, had transmitted his spiritual power to him. See, during the later part of 1901, the Swami observed all the religious festivals at the mutt. The Divine Mother was worshipped in strict orthodox fashion during the Durga Puja, Lakshmi Puja and Kali Puja. On the occasion of the Durga Puja, the poor were given a sumptuous feast. Thus, the Swami demonstrated the efficacy of religious rituals in the development of the spiritual life. In February 1902, the birth anniversary of Sri Ramakrishna was celebrated at the Belur Mutt, and over 30,000 devotees gathered for the occasion. But the Swami was feverish. He was confined to his room by the swelling of his legs. From the windows he watched the dancing and the music of the devotees. To the disciple who was attending him, the Swami said, "He who has realized the Atman becomes a storehouse of great power. From him as the center a spiritual force emanates, Working within a certain radius, people who come within this circle become inspired with his ideas and are overwhelmed by them. Thus, without much religious striving, they derive benefit from the spiritual experience of an illumined person. This is called grace. Blessed are those, the Swami continued, who have seen Sri Ramakrishna. All of you too will get his vision. When you have come here, you are very near to him. Nobody has been able to understand him who came on earth as Sri Ramakrishna. Even his own nearest devotees have no real clue to it. Only some have a little inkling of it. All will understand in time. In our next episode, we'll delve into the complex dynamics of Swami Vivekananda's final days at the Belur Monastery. Facing criticism, illness, and a changing world, Swami Vivekananda's unwavering spirit and vision for India shine through. Join us as we continue to uncover the depth of his legacy and the challenges he faced in his last years. Thank you for listening till the end. Please subscribe, turn on the notifications, like, comment, and share with your friends. This will help more listeners to discover our channel and content.